The Morgan Report is sponsored by El Tigre Silver Corps, trading on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol ELS.V. El Tigre Silver Corps is a new startup silver company located in the prolific northeastern Sonora state of Mexico. We're joined now by the silver guru, David Morgan of The Morgan Report. His website is silver-investor.com. Mr. Morgan is one of the most preeminent world experts, not just in silver, gold, and precious metals, but related issues in the mining sector. Welcome back to the program.
Oh, it's great to be with you.
David, last week we discussed your posted video on your Silver Guru YouTube channel called A Frightening Worldwide Currency Crisis. Many people think that the U.S. dollar could trump gold right now, and it certainly looks like the dollar is doing well. Are these just lemmings running off a proverbial cliff?
Somewhat. This is not really that hard to explain, and if I do an adequate job, and of course that's my goal, it's easy to understand. If you look at the John Exter pyramid, that's EXTER, it shows basically how the financial system is structured, and it's structured as an upside-down pyramid. Now, at the tip of the pyramid is gold and silver, which are your monetary metals, and they're exempt from any political pressure at some point. In other words, I'm not saying that there isn't some manipulation of the market. What I'm saying is that gold and silver march majestically as money, either in the free market or the black market or some combination thereof, but they're always money, they're always spendable, and they're always recognized as such. Okay, that's point number one. Now, just up from real money is currencies, and the currencies that are in the Exter pyramid are physical notes. In other words, dollar bills in the U.S. or euros if you're in Europe, or pounds if you're in Great Britain, or yen if you're in Japan, or dinar if you're in the Middle East, or Australian dollars if you're in Australia. So you get the point. It's physical cash. As things unwind, the least prudent investments, such as derivatives, are the ones that blow up first, which is what we've seen for years now. It started in August 2007, and it's continued. In fact, it got so bad for a while, we have what's called a financial crisis in 2008, and all the markets got hit, including the silver market. Gold even got whacked, but not nearly as bad as most other asset classes, as you would expect. There's a race to liquidity. There is a race to really safety. Now, most people are not familiar with the precious metals and what they represent and how they work and that type of thing, because there isn't a whole lot of information out there in the public domain as far as what precious metals really mean. You're not going to get a huge lecture on why you should have gold in your portfolio from somebody on CNBC or even Fox Business. So, of course, they'll have some gold pundits on there from time to time, myself included. But the truth of the matter is that really a stable financial system benefits everybody involved. That means basically anybody in the system. What we're seeing is a situation where people want security, so they're going to the best thing that they know, and that would be in the U.S. dollar bills. So they'll sell their house, they'll sell their 401k, they'll sell their stocks, they'll sell their bonds, and they'll get the cash. So there can be a big rush toward the bottom of the pyramid, which means a great emphasis going into dollars and then going into gold, or both at the same time. But the percentage of money going into cash is extremely high relative to some of that cash going into gold. But the gold market is so small relative to the currency markets that it doesn't take much for people to go, you know what, dollars might be good, they might be safe, but they're not as good as gold. And the same thing, someone in Europe making that thought, or someone in Australia, or someone in China, or someone in Japan, or wherever. And that's where you get the rub, because as the pyramid shows, the ultimate is ultimate. Nothing's better than something that's last 5,000 years, and no unbacked fiat currencies ever lasted really more than about 200. So we're in a situation on a global basis right now where certainly the dollar can look good for a while, and it is. And certainly there'll be a liquidity squeeze, which we're seeing where as things unwind, more and more people will be seeking to get out of any asset that they can and getting back to dollars. But ultimately, just a few people will escape the demise of the currency, and that will be because they took on an asset class that supersedes really any paper currency, and that is the ultimate currencies, which are silver and gold.
You're known as the silver guru, of course, and you know quite a bit about all precious metals and mining and money in general. I'd like to direct our audience in this conversation to silver123.net. That's silver123.net. Why is silver considered the poor man's currency, more or less? Why should we go there as opposed to, or in addition, to gold?
You know, it's the best question you can ask, I think. And when I wrote this 10 Rules of Silver Investing, I said that the ultimate survival currency is silver, not gold. And I'll prove it. I mean, it's pretty easy to prove. The ultimate survival money is silver, and here's why. Just take this real simple thought experiment and close down the currency markets for a week. And let's say you need to make a transaction. You got to buy gas or bread, or you got to pay your babysitter or make rent or whatever. Silver is the money of choice because silver is small denominations. You could take a silver dime that's real silver, like a 90% U.S. coin or 70% Canadian silver coin or whatever they are in France when most of the world was on a silver standard, and you can easily make a transaction. Whereas with gold, you can't really make that transaction very easily. If you have a 1-ounce gold coin and you want to buy a couple loaves of bread, it's going to be pretty hard for the vendor to make change for you. Now, I'm not saying that you couldn't use physical dollars and they wouldn't be accepted, because they probably would. But the point I'm making is that for the ultimate precious metals survival situation, silver, by far, is a better choice than gold. It just is. It's been that way. You got to remember that most of these gold-only types, and I have nothing against them, but I'm not gold-only. I think the best structure is a bimetal structure where you use silver and gold, and the free market determines the value of silver relative to gold and vice versa. Silver's always been used as the main money, not gold. Gold is settlement for nation-state to nation-state or a large transaction. I mean, if you're going to buy somebody's, land to put your castle on in medieval times, you're going to settle in gold. But if you're going to the marketplace and you're going to buy dinner for the next couple of days, you're going to use silver, and that's the way it's always been. So it continues that way. Now, obviously, we don't use silver in day-to-day transactions, but you are seeing that take place somewhat. It's extremely small, but you're starting to see it happen. And what I mean by that is look at goldmoney.com. Goldmoney.com has had both silver and gold now for quite some time, and I've taken payment in, gold money terms. I've paid out in gold money terms. So what am I doing? I'm actually conducting a service. Payment, taking it in silver was my choice, and paying out in for a service that I want to somebody else vis-a-vis this goldmoney.com website, and paying them in physical metal. So this is kind of the start of what you see for a reenactment of, sound money. And goldmoney.com isn't the only website that settles in physical gold and silver. There are other entities that do something very similar. So it's the beginning, if you will. I mean, everything starts pretty small at the very beginning, and so you're starting to see that. The reason I like silver123.net so much is that it allows the little guy to get in dollar cost average. I think the minimum amount required is like $50 a month, which is not very much in today's world, and allows people to get started. I think that silver best serves almost everybody, but it gives the average person a better chance. I think there's more leverage in silver than there is in gold. I also think it fits better for people that are probably middle class or lower. Certainly I have nothing against gold. I think everybody should have some. It's just that, if you're in your 20s and you just got out of college and you can't find a job yet, gold might sound great, but can you really afford to start making gold coin purchases? And the answer is probably not. Whereas in that same scenario, if you live frugally, you might be able to put away, some silver during the course of the ongoing months ahead. So obviously I'm biased toward the silver market. I'm also one of the most studied in the silver market. And a lot of stuff that you read in the silver market is from sources that, not that you shouldn't trust them, but they really aren't that studied. I won't name the gentleman, but he's gold-centric, and he does a great job in history on why, gold did this and that, but he certainly hasn't read all the books I've read, because he makes this case that, gold did great in the 30s and silver didn't. The truth is, silver went from 25 cents at the bottom to 50 cents, which is a double. Whereas gold only went from $20.67 to $35, which is about a 75% increase. So on a percentage basis, they both went up, and silver went up more percentage-wise than gold did during the Great Depression. For crying out loud, that's a fact. No one can change that fact. Yet these people seem to just overlook that. I don't know why. People are certainly entitled to their own opinion, but they can't make up their own facts. That really annoys me.
David, once again, another compelling broadcast. Thank you for your contribution. Again, the website we've been referring to is silver123.net. Thanks again for joining us today on the program.
My pleasure, Ellis. Thank you.
The Morgan Report has been sponsored by El Tigre Silver Corps, trading on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol ELS.V. El Tigre Silver Corps is a new startup silver company located in the prolific northeastern Sonora state of Mexico.